back to the channel. So today we're gonna be looking at my Rakdos Death Shadow deck. I play this online sometimes, and it's just a fun deck. I wouldn't say it's like overall competitive per se, but it can crack out a win here or there. So yeah, let's just get right into it. I don't even know if like Death Shadow's like that viable anymore, but we're trying. We'll start with the cantrips. So I'm also running like other cards that benefit from like card types in the graveyard, and I'll kind of get to that in a minute. So we have Mishra's Bauble. This is really good cantrip for 0. So obviously you gotta play 4 of those. You gotta play Street Wraith because cycles, and you also lose life. So I mean, if you're, I guess, really desperate, you could cast it from your hand for 5, but probably don't want to do that. Lightning Bolt, obviously for any red deck, it's just quick, efficient removal. And then 4 Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize, you lose the life, obviously, but you also get like valuable information from your opponent. So pretty good. I guess I should probably mention like the prices as I go through this. That's just an added bonus. So baubles are like $2 a piece. Street Wrath, you can get a playset for probably $1.50. Lightning Bolt, depending on the version. So like this one is like, they're about like $1.50 a piece. But sometimes if you get like different arts, like the cooler looking ones, obviously people like those, so those ones are gonna be a little bit more. So like $2 a piece. And then Thoughtseize was dropped quite a bit from a couple years ago. It's like $6 to $7, I think, right now. And then you have 2 Fatal Push. You probably run a couple more, but I mean, sometimes it's kind of a dead card against some decks. And then you would want to side it out. And then Unholy Heat, like we are running a Delirium strategy as well in this deck, so figured you can run this. I went with a split because sometimes one is better than the other in certain situations. So Push, I think, is $2 to $3 a piece. Unholy Heat is like pretty much like free at this point. Let's go on to the creatures. So Death Shadow, obviously. Death Shadow's dropped a lot in price. You can probably pick up a playset for about $4. DRC is about $2 a piece. Card is really good, like especially if you can get turn 1 this and then Bauble, you get that sort of real trigger right off the bat. And then you have Nether Goyf, relies on card types in the graveyard. So, which in this deck there's a good array, I would say. Not a whole lot, but a good portion. Let's move on to the 2 mana stuff. So we have Dothi. Nether Goyf is like $10 a piece. It used to be like a lot more, but I think it's slowly becoming kind of unviable because like there's unfortunately a lot of graveyard hate. So, which is why I said you should probably run like a graveyard strategy. But anyway, Dothi Voidwalker has dropped a lot. It is I think from both reprints and just like not being played as much is why it's dropped so much. But definitely still a good card. You probably pick up a playset for $20. Inti, really good card. Also pretty affordable right now. I think they're about $4 a piece. And we have this card. It's a newer card. Fear of Missing Out is very good. It's also an enchantment and a creature. So when you play it, you discard, draw, and then if you have Delirium, you get like an additional combat phase. So it's when it attacks. So yeah. And then we have the last card, which is honestly one of the best cards, Molten Collapse. So like whenever a card hits the graveyard, so it could be a DRC trigger, could be, you know, you playing something, obviously. You can get both effects, but and both these are really good for Modern, because like you can hit a creature or planeswalker, or hit any non-creature, non-land permanent with a mana value of 1 or less, so it's a free kind of like 2-for-1 in this deck, so it's just very good. Should probably run 4, but yeah. So we're gonna go into the lands. We have a swamp and a mountain, because Harbinger of the Seas is, you know, kind of a pain for a lot of decks. You should probably run 2 swamps because of Dothy, but you know, it's whatever. And then we have springs, because they're pain lands, and pain lands help, you know, the strategy out a lot. We have our blood crypts. Play 4 because you want to lose a lot of life, obviously. And then Bloodstained Mire, you could probably run more fetch lands, but I don't know, I mean, fetch lands are just so expensive. I mean, you know, just these lands all put together is like $80, 80 to $100 right here. So it's kind of ridiculous just for the mana base, in my opinion. I kind of wish, like, fetch lands are so used that it drives the value up, obviously. They're also kind of underprinted, but anyway, enough complaining about that, right? So you have Blackleaf Cliffs as the other, I'm only running like 16 lands, and you only really need like 1 or 2 lands, because the deck runs a lot of 1 to 2 mana stuff. We have the side, so Meltdown. So I try to, you know, kind of fit this for whatever the meta is at the kind of like at the moment, right? So Meltdown, Cutter is a really dumb card. I don't know, like, why they made that, but they did. Pyroclasm, just a nice little board wipe if you're, you know, losing the race that way. Another problematic card is, or deck is Energy, obviously, because they make a lot of tokens with the stupid cats. So this kind of keeps that in check. There's probably better options, but Illness in the Ranks is just a solid card. Rakdos Charm. This does a lot of things, so you can sign this in for a lot of different matchups. Like, it's good for Cutter, because Cutter, like, they like to reuse artifacts from the grave anyway, so you can just exile their graveyard. It also destroys Cutter, and it also destroys like any artifact that's problematic. And then if they have a big board of creatures, you can just play the last effect and have it deal like a bunch of damage to the controller. We have some edict effects for cards that the deck can't deal with. So thinking about Rakdos, like, it does hit like a lot of different card types, like planeswalkers, creatures, artifacts, and I'm sure I'm missing like other stuff, but it does hit like a lot of things. But this is to have them sack if case you can't target. Blood Moon, obviously, because the deck is, you know, red and black, and you can just fetch the swamp early and then play this. Then a Braid, Still Cutter. Also, if like it's a heavy creature matchup, you can just, you know, bolt something, but I don't really side this card in a lot. And then Feed the Swarm. Feed the Swarm's really good for 2 reasons. One is that, like, it hits both like Blood Moon and Harbinger of the Seas, so if you're running black and you don't have a way to deal with either of those, you can just run this, and I think it's fine. And yeah, that's it.